Hello, good afternoon, my students. How are you today? I hope all of you is good and healthy. So today we will still talk about meeting phrases, but today is special because we will talk about how when we want to ask for opinion from your meeting participants or when you want to give your opinion, your own opinion, or when you want to give suggestion or when you want to interrupt when somebody's talking during the meeting. So let's just get started. I'll share you my presentation. So please wait a minute. Here they are. So today is English phrases for meetings and about asking for opinions, giving your opinion, suggestion, and interrupting. We will start with asking for opinions, like when the meeting began and you finish your presentation with some information, and then you want to ask for requests for opinions from your meeting participants. You ask people for their opinions. So you can say with these phrases, one of these phrases you can choose. The first one, like you can ask them by saying, what does everyone think about my presentation? Or I'd like to get your feedback on my topic. Or you can say, what are your thoughts about this? Or what are your views on this topic, for example. And after the person giving you opinion, you can say thanks. Don't forget, this is to acknowledge the opinion. And you are thanks to them that they give their opinion. So it will make you polite and sound professional. But if you need more opinion, you can say, what does everyone else think? Or are there any comments, any other comments? And what about if you want to ask specific person because you think this person have the expertise or the experience about the topic that you shared before? You can say, for example, the name of the person is Susan. You can say, Susan, can we get your input? Or you can say, would you like to add anything, Susan? This is for example. And what about if somebody asking for your opinion? How you say it? You will have like strong, normal, and weak opinion. Because maybe you will have strong opinion if you have the expertise, you have the experience, you have the data, you have the facts and everything about the topic. And your opinion is just normal if you like maybe you have the expertise but you are not so good in it or you not use it oftenly, so your opinion considered just normal. Or what about if your opinion just weak opinion because somebody asks you to say something but you are not ready, or maybe you don't have expertise or experience in this field? How you say it? Okay, this is the example. If you have strong opinion, you can say, I strongly believe that blah, blah, blah. Or I'm positive that something, something, something. Or I'm convinced that we have to do this. Or I have no doubt whatsoever that blah, blah, blah. Or there is no question that. Then you explain that what. This is the strongest opinion. And for the normal opinion, you can say, I think, or I believe, or I feel that. Or you can also say, from my point of view, that we could do something, something, something. Or you can say, in my experience, or I find that if you use these phrases to base your opinion on your experience. Or you can say, I'd say that blah blah blah. Or if you want my honest opinion, I think that we should do that. Maybe you can say that. Or to be honest, your presentation is not good to implement in this time of pandemic, for example. Use these phrases when you want to express a negative or critical opinion. The word honest is a diplomatic way to signal that you are going to say something negative or unpopular. For example, that you are not agree if the topic of the presentation implement in this time of pandemic. So you say that it will not good to implement in this time. So you will say, to be honest, to start saying something. And next, what about if you have weak opinion? You can say, it seems to me that, or it's possible that, blah, blah, blah. Or I tend to think that, then you explain, or my initial reaction is, blah, blah, blah. Use this phrase to show that this is an opinion you haven't thought very deeply about. This is if you have weak opinion. And what about if you want to express your agreement or disagreement based on people's opinion? So let's say your colleague already said something about their opinion on the presentation that already given. So you want to give your agreement on their opinion. How you say it? Let's talk about it. So agreement can be strong, normal, or partial. Or disagreement, it can be normal and strong. Okay, let's talk about agreement. What about if you have strong agreement? You are very agree with them. What you can say? You can say, I completely agree. Or I couldn't agree more. Or you are absolutely right. This is for strong agreement. What about if your agreement is just normal? You can say exactly, or that's just how I see it. Or you can say, I'm with Peter on this. You can say, or you can use this phrase to refer to another colleague's opinion. Or if your agreement just partial, maybe you agree or and you are not agree in the same time. What you can say? You can say, well, it's depend. Or you can say, I agree with you up to a point, but we need to think something else, maybe. This means that you are agree with some of the opinion, but not all of it. Or you can say, I agree with you in principle, but then you explain. This means you agree with the opinion in theory, but not in practice. What about the disagreement? If you have normal disagreement, in English, saying I disagree can be little too direct and might be considered impolite. Use one of this phrase instead to, to disagree diplomatically. This is the example of the phrases. I'm afraid I disagree. I'm not so sure about that. Or I see it differently. Yes, but maybe we think twice about this. Or you can say, not necessarily. What about if you have strong disagreement? You can say, uh, you can say your disagreement, but if it's strong, don't forget, you say sorry. Please apology the first because it will consider polite and professional. You will not say disagree directly. You need to say I'm sorry, but I completely disagree. Or I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that at all. That's the example if you are disagree. And what do you do if you are in charge of a meeting and people are arguing? Use one of these phrases to settle the disagreement and continue the meeting. This is the example. We don't seem to be getting anywhere with this. So maybe we could discuss it further at another time. Or you can say, let's move on. I think we are going to have to agree to disagree. And this part is about suggestion. What about if you want to give a suggestion or someone asking you to give suggestion? There are weak and strong suggestions. Weak is if you want to give suggestion, but you are not so sure. You don't have facts, you don't have data, or you don't have expertise on the field. You can say, I could. Then you explain why. Or why don't you? Why don't we? Or you can say, how about if we doing that, doing this? Or you can say, what about blah, 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 blah. You explain why. And if you want to give strong suggestion, usually strong suggestion is when people give that you are sure that your suggestion is important to the topic, important to the person that you want to give. You can say, I suggest, or I recommend, or we should, or let's. And there is note, we could, or why don't we, or we should, or let's are followed by the base form of the verb. For example, we could invest in new technology. Or why don't we invest in new technology? Or we should invest in new technology. That's the example. And you can use in form if you want to choose how about, what about, I suggest, or I recommend. For example, how about investing in new technology? Or what about investing in new technology? Or I suggest investing in new technology. Yes. So you have to put in to consider which one you want to use. The best form of verb or the ing form. It depends. And now we will learn about interrupting. What about if you want to say something when somebody is talking? So you need to stop them talk. How you stop them and you can talk what you want to talk. Okay, here is some examples of phrases. This is the polite way. Might I have a word? Or you can say, could I just say one thing? Or you can say, excuse me, sorry for interrupting. But I think, then you explain why you need to interrupting. And here is how to control the meeting. If you are controlling the meeting, you will need these phrases to move the discussion to the next item on the agenda. You can say, I think we've spent enough time on this topic. moving on to the next topic, for example. Or you can say, if nobody has anything else to add, let's move on to the next item. Or you can say, we are running short on time, so let's move on. Or you can say, I'd like to skip item 2 and go directly to item 3. This means you want to go from item 1 directly to the item 3 and you skip item number 2. This is for controlling the meeting. Or if you want to give the control to somebody else, to another person, maybe you need to go somewhere or maybe you need to handle something else. You can say, I'd like to hand it over to Brian, who is going to lead the next point. Or you can say, next, Brian is going to tell us about the next topic. And finally, it's common for discussion to go off topics. However, you can bring the discussion back to the main point by using one of these phrases. I'm afraid that outside the scope of this meeting. Or I think we are getting a bit off topic. Or you can say, we'd better save that for another meeting. Or you can say, let's get back on track. Okay. And the last one, you can say, getting back to the main topic, for example. So that's all the lesson I want to give you today. I hope you can use this lesson to add to your meeting simulation so your meeting will sound natural because you can give your opinion or asking for somebody else's opinion or giving suggestion, or you can interrupt when somebody is talking because you need to say some important things. Okay, I hope for your success for the midterm exam. Then I'll see you on the next meeting and the next class. And thank you so much for listening and bye-bye.